All right, we are getting ready for the Unit 7C and 8 test. So this is a review over it. So Unit 7C, the first half, is going to be over simplifying exponents. And Unit 8 is over exponential functions. So the first half of this review is over exponents. Now I'm going to be highlighting, doing some different things to hopefully help you follow along with where everything's coming from. So if you aren't understanding where something's coming from, check and see what color it is, and maybe you'll be able to figure it out. Okay? All right. So first up, the directions for this say not only to simplify, but also state which rules you used. So we need to make sure that whatever rule, allies, enemies, bombs, spies, all those things, whatever rule, we write that as well. Okay? So the dimensions of a rectangular prism are shown in the diagram at right. Find the volume of the prism. So this word volume. Volume is length times width times height. So I'm literally going to multiply these three things here. So a to the 5th b squared times the next one, a to the 4th b, times the next one, a, b to the 3rd. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all the a's in pink. I'm going to highlight all the b's in blue. Okay, so this is all being multiplied. In other words, this is our allies rule. So allies rule says to keep the base. So I'm going to keep the a, add the exponents. 5 plus 4 plus 1, even though it's not written, gives me 10. All right, and for the b's, keep the base, add the exponents. 2 plus 1, even though it's not written, plus 3 gives me 6. That's your answer for that one. Okay. Number 2, which expression is equivalent to x to the a times x to the b over x to the c? Okay, so we've got a couple rules going on here. First step, these two are on the same side. If they're on the same side of the battle line or that fraction bar, we call them allies. And we also have enemies because these x's are on the top and these are on the bottom. So they're on opposite sides of the battle line. So we have both allies as enemies in this one. Okay, so what do I do with my allies? Well, I'm going to add them. Keep the base, x, add the exponents, a plus b. I can't do anything more than that right now. Over x to the c. Okay, well now, this x and this x right here, they're enemies. So what do we do when we have enemies? Keep the base, which is x, subtract the exponents. So we're going to start with this, a plus b, and because this is an enemy, we are going to subtract the c. So which one does this match? A plus b minus c. So it's right here. Option D. Number 3. Okay, so we've got different parts here. I've got numbers. I've got A's. And I've got B's. Okay, all of them are on opposite sides of that battle line. If they're on opposite sides, we call them enemies. So, numbers are numbers. 4 over 4. Well, those just cancel each other out. They're gone. We don't have any more numbers. Variables. Let's start with A. Let's go in alphabetical order. So A squared over A to the fourth. They're on opposite sides. Who's going to win? Bottom wins, so I'm going to write an A on the bottom. By how many? So we said we subtract. 4 minus 2 gives me 2. All right, how about the B's? Who wins the battle of the B's? Top has, even though it's not written, remember there's a 1 there. So 1 versus 4. Well, the bottom's going to win, so I'm going to write my B on the bottom. How much does it win by? By 3. And if there's nothing left on top, use a placeholder of 1. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, what all do we got going on here? Well, I see X's and Y's on separate sides, so we've got enemies. And I see something to the 0 power. Remember, we call that a bomb. Okay, so I'm going to draw my fraction bar. First off, I'm going to take care of the bomb. X to the 0. What happens to a bomb? Goes away, blows up and goes away, right? So that means that part is going to go away. I'm going to rewrite everything else except that part. Okay. I'm going to draw another fraction bar. Go through it piece by piece. Number first. Variables in ABC order. So I'm going to start with the X and then go to the Y. Okay. 2 has nothing to battle with, nothing to combine with, so it's going to stay. X, nothing to battle with, nothing to combine with, it's going to stay. Y, I've got a battle. 4 versus 1. Who wins? Top wins by 3. Number 5. All right, what all do we see here? I see things on different sides, so I've got enemies. I see negatives. Remember what negatives are? They are spies. Let's start there. Let's see what we got. Okay. So, piece by piece. I'm going to do the spies first. I'm going to do all the spies in green. So anything in green has to move to the other side because it's a spy. It has that negative. 4x to the third is going to stay. 4x to the third. Y to the negative 3 is a spy. Cross the line, move it to the bottom, change the sign. It goes from a negative 3 to a positive 3. Y to the negative 1 down here on the bottom is another spy. It's going to cross the line, move to the top, change the sign. Negative 1 becomes positive 1. Then the z squared, not negative, so it's going to stay. Plain z, not negative, so it's going to stay. Alright, go through it piece by piece. I'm going to start with my number. Nothing to combine with, so it's just going to stay. I'm going to move on to my x. Nothing to combine with, so it's going to stay. Y's. Okay, I see a y on top and a y on bottom. Who wins? Bottom wins by 3 minus 2, or sorry, 3 minus 1 gives me 2. And last one, let's see what color haven't I used? Orange. So I have z squared over z to the 1. Who's going to win that battle? Top's going to win by 1. Now, I could write a 1 exponent, but that's not simplified. So I'm just going to leave it as that. All right, next one. Let's see what we got. All right, I see bombs. I see spies. I see enemies. Let's start there. Let's see if we got them all. All right, first thing I'm going to take care of is my bombs. Make them go away. 2m p to the third, 2 p to the negative 1, q to the negative 1. Okay, I'm going to draw an equal sign and another fraction bar. Now I'm going to take care of my spies. Let's see, I did my spies in green before. I got 2 spies. Everything else is going to stay. 2 stays on top, 2 stays on bottom. M stays on top. P to the third stays on top. P to the negative 1. Cross the line, change the sign. Positive 1. Q to the negative 1. Cross the line, change the sign. Okay. Now let's go through simplify piece by piece. Numbers. Well, they're the same number, so they're going to cancel. No more numbers. M. Nothing to combine with, so it's going to stay M. P. I have P to the third and P to the first. Now, after I used my spies rule, I actually now have allies. Because they're both on the top. They're both on the same side. So I'm going to keep the base and add the exponents. 3 plus 1 gives me 4. And then q to the 1, nothing to combine with. So it's going to be q, and I don't have to write to the 1 power. So if all of that is over 1, I actually don't have to write over 1. So it's just going to be m p to the 4th q. All right, number 7. If you can do any simplifying inside your parentheses first, do that. So I'm going to keep my parentheses to the 4th power, and I'm going to simplify inside first. So numbers, nothing to simplify with, so it's going to stay. So remember, we're going in alphabetical order. So next comes p. So p to the 4th over p to the 5th. Who wins that battle? Bottom wins by 1. You can either leave the 1 or write it without. Then q. Q, nothing to combine with, so it's going to stay on the bottom. Q, remember you can write q to the 1 if you want. And then R. So we are going to have R to the 6th over R to the 3rd. Top wins by 3. All right, now I need to, so what did I do there? I did enemies. Okay. So I'm going to take this exponent of 4 and I'm going to distribute it to all 4 of my bases. Some people try to miss the 2 as one of their bases. So 2 doesn't have an exponent, so it's going to take that exponent. 2 to the 4th. R has an exponent. So what do we do? Remember, this is our strengthening rule. Running into the other box. Strengthening rule. So we're going to keep the base and multiply the exponent. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. All right, P. P has an exponent of 1. Keep the base, multiply. 1 times 4 gives me 4. And Q. Keep the base. It doesn't have an exponent, so it is going to just take that exponent. You can either leave it like that, or you can actually multiply out. 2 to the 4th is actually 8. Nope. It's actually 16. R to the 12th over P to the 4th, Q to the 4th. Either way is fine. Make sure if it's multiple choice, you can find the other one. All right, number 8. A lot going on here. So where do we start? Well, this whole bottom is protected by these parentheses. So I can't do anything with the bottom. Is there any simplifying on the top? Nope. So the first thing I need to do is I need to do strengthening. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to apply it to all my bases. The 3, the X, the Y, the Z. Didn't do anything to the top. bottom. I'm going to keep the base and multiply the exponent. So 3 to the, doesn't have a power, it's going to be 4. X squared times 4 is going to be x to the 8th. Y squared times 4, y to the 8th. Z to the 3rd to the 4th. Z to the 12th. So everything on the bottom got 4 times stronger. It's like we sent in 4 times the reinforcements to the bottom. Okay, so where do we start? I've got some enemies now. Okay, so I'm going to start with my number 6 over 3 to the 4th. Now, if you don't know how to simplify that fraction, go ahead, plug it in your calculator. 6 over 3 to the 4th power. 2 over 27. That means I'm going to have a 2 on top, 27 on bottom. Okay, now I'm going to look at my x's. I have x to the 3rd over x to the 8th. Bottom's going to win by 5. Y squared, y to the 8th. Bottom's going to win by 6. And z's. Z to the 14th or z to the 12th. Top's going to win by 2. Okay? So those are the ones where you actually have to do the work and simplify. Now, down here, same thing, we're going to simplify and state what rules, but now we've got some multiple choice. So these are all variables. Okay? What rule do we use when we are multiplying? These are allies. So what's the allies rule say? Keep the base, add the exponents, a plus b plus c. All right, here, that's option C. Okay, example 10. What rule are we using? If you see a negative exponent, that is your SPIES rule. So what's the rule say? Cross the line, change the sign. I don't have a line. You can always put anything over 1. So we're going to take this SPI, we're going to cross the line, change the sign. So it's going to become x to the, change the sign, negative a becomes positive a, 1 on top. So which one does that match? Matches B. All right. Next one, 11. What rule is this? So we have a power, something with an exponent, to another exponent. This is our strengthening. So what does our strengthening rule say? Keep the base, x, multiply the exponents, a times b. Right there, that's option C. Okay, this is my favorite rule. Anything with a 0 power. That's my bomb. What happens to a bomb? Just blows up and goes away. Well, what if everything goes away? Remember, there's always an imaginary 1 that you can put being multiplied out in front. So even if this part goes away, what do we still have left? 1. Okay, so that was the part over 7C. These last 6 problems are over Unit 8. So these are exponential functions. For a lot of them, we're going to use our calculator. Okay, these are just like EOC problems, so we need to make sure that you know what you're doing so you can do these on the EOC too. All right, which statement about the graph of y equals 1/3 times 2/3 to the x power is true? So I am going to new docs, don't save, add a graph. Let's graph it and let's see. Make it a little darker so you can see it better. There we go. All right, so I need to put in a fraction. 1/3 times 2/3 to the power x. Okay, so which is true? Does it have a y-intercept of 0, 1/3? Well, remember, to do intercepts, you've got a couple options. You can do the table, or you can do graph trace. I'm going to do the table this time. 0, ooh, I don't know. That's a decimal. This is a fraction. If you want to check, Control Doc and add a calculator. What is 1 divided by 3 decimal point? Hey, that matches. So this one is true. Okay, let me go back to my graph. Does it have a vertical asymptote? Here's a hint. We're never going to have a vertical asymptote in Algebra 1, so this is false. It has an asymptote at y equals 2/3. Nope. Let me get rid of my table. If I look here, it gets closer and closer, not to 2/3, but to 0. So that one is also false. And the graph decreases from left to right. Well, that one's true. So there were 2 of them that were true. Okay? The number of zombies doubles every hour. Which function can be used to find the number of zombies present at the end of 8 hours if there are initially 7 zombies? So this is one where you have to know the formula. F of x equals a times b to the x power. So what does that mean? Well, think about a. Where's a in the alphabet? That's how many you start with. It's at the beginning. B is my growth, or decay factor. So where does the 7 go? Well, the 7 goes right here, in the beginning. That's how many we started with. Initially, means start. All right, growth. How much are we growing by? Doubles. So we're looking for a 2. 2 means doubles. So we're not cutting the zombie population in half, we're doubling it. So which one of those, B or C, matches this form? Well, there's no plus sign here. It's being multiplied. So it has to be B. All right, 16. Identify the asymptote. This is just looking. So we said it's always going to be horizontal. It's right here. So it's going to keep getting closer and closer and closer as it goes this way, but never touch it. So what am I at there? What number and on which axis? Well, this is the y-axis. So these 2 are out. And what number is that at? That is at -5. So y equals -5. All right, next one. Mr. McAllister used f of x equals 100 times 2 to the x to find the balance of an investment account over time. What does the 100 represent, and what does the 2 represent? So we're going to go back up and we're going to look at this formula right here. Remember, that first thing is always how much you start with. So the 100 is the starting amount. Right here, I see the word starting. So that's going to be what the answer is. Okay, what does the 2 represent? 2 is my growth. So which one talks about how much it grows? Not the starting balance, we said that was the 100. The interest rate of the investment account. The number of years the investment account has earned interest, or the interest the investment account has earned in the first year. So there's one more number we didn't talk about. So there's one more number we didn't talk about in this formula, and it's the x. X is your number of times. Okay, so we said that was our starting balance, or our A value. So I'm going to put an A off to the side here. Number of times. I think that's the next easiest one to figure out, because this one says number of years. So this one is your x value. So now we just have to decide which of the last 2 is our B value. Is it the interest rate, or is it the interest earned the first year? So your growth factor, or your decay factor, whatever, is how much it changes each time. It's not just a 1-year thing. It's each time. So it is the whole rate. Another word for factor is rate. So this could be called the growth rate. So therefore, the one that is, what does the 2 represent? Because that's in the growth rate spot, is the interest rate. All right, 17. Scientists took rabbits to an uninhabited island. They went back each year to count the total number of rabbits. So in year 0, when they started, there were 2 rabbits. After 1 year, there were 10. After 2 years, there were 48. So find the growth rate, write the exponential function, and use it to predict. So to do this, we are going to go to New Documents, Don't Save, Add a Calculator. So remember our steps to type it in. Best button in the whole calculator, menu. All of our regression is under 6 statistics, stat calc, and then our 3 options that we've used this year are linear and x plus b, quadratic, and exponential. So if you look here, it actually tells you it is an exponential function. So pick the one that tells you, exponential. All right, control, close parentheses. Get you your squiggly braces. 0, 1, 2. And your y list, 2, 10, 48. All right, so right here, my b value, what's it say? 4.898. And I'm just going to chop it off after 3 decimals. Okay, so write it as an exponential function. So we're using our formula for exponential functions, the same one we used right here. Okay, so f of x equals a, what did it tell me my a was? 2.013 times b, we already got our b up here, 4.898 to the x power. Okay, then use your equation to predict how many rabbits there will be after 6 years. So I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to put it on a graph. Control Doc adds a page. Let's add a graph. Okay, it says F2. Normally it says F1, so I'm going to arrow up to F1. Oh, look, it typed it in with all the decimals for me. Awesome. So I'm going to hit enter. There's my function. Predict how many rabbits there will be after 6 years. So you could either use a table, Control T, and scroll down to 6. Or you can, let me get rid of the table. You can do menu, trace, graph trace, and type in 6. And hit enter. Either way is fine. So this one gives me a weird number. Look at this. If it's giving you weird stuff with e's and everything, use the table. Okay, so go to 6. 27,830. And you can either keep it as 36 or 37. We're not going to give you both as a multiple choice option. I'm just going to cut it off. Okay, last one. The amount of water in a storage tank decreases at a rate of 7% per month. The tank holds 46,000 gallons. Which function models the amount of water left? Okay, so remember, we always start, we're using the same formula up here basically. We always have our starting amount or our initial value. So how much did it start with? 46. So that should be the first number. Okay, so I know those are my 2 options. Now the tricky part comes when we talk about the b. When you have a percent, it's either going to be 1 plus the percent if it's an increase, or 1 minus the percent if it is a decrease. So which do we have in this situation? Well, it's right here, bold and underline. Don't miss that. Decrease. So we're going to do 1 minus, well, how much is it decreasing by? 7%. But I can't leave it as 7. I got to take my 7% and convert it. So it's actually going to be 0.07. Okay, so this right here is my B. I don't see any of those with that B. You actually have to do the math. Do 1, so I'm going to go back to a calculator. I'm going to do 1 minus 0.07, 0.93. So which one has a B value of 0.93? That one right there. So B is the correct answer. Now this last question. What option would model the same situation with an increase of 7%? So that's going to be 1 plus 0.07. So which one is 1 plus 0.07? Well, if you don't know what that is, 1 plus 0.07 is 1.07. So which one has that as its B value? Option D. There you go. Now you can take